On a chilly Friday morning, Vince ushered his daughter Karen into the living room for an unexpected activity. Little did he know, a camera was recording their every move. Later that night, when Linda viewed the footage, she was overcome with emotion and burst into tears. The video quickly went viral and elicited various reactions from viewers, ranging from tears to shock and silence. One commenter even noted the irony that this heartwarming moment took place shortly after a traumatic event that nearly drove Karen's parents apart. The video was so moving that it brought me to tears, but I cannot bear to watch it again. Several weeks prior, Vince was discovered engaging in some questionable behavior with his daughter. On this particular day, he arrived home from work much earlier than usual and immediately entered Linda's room. "Welcome home, my love," Linda greeted him warmly, but instead of returning her affection, Vince gave her a cold and unsettling stare. His appearance was disheveled, with no tie and bloodshot eyes that suggested he had been crying for hours. Worse yet, he reeked of alcohol, which was completely out of character for the husband Linda knew. She sensed that something was seriously wrong. "What's going on, Vince?" she finally asked, hoping for an explanation. "Why did you do that?" he repeated, his voice trembling with emotion. Linda was completely confused and tried to embrace him, but he stopped her, leaving her in shock. Vince's behavior towards Linda was completely out of character. Instead of confiding in her about his problems, he retreated to Karen's room while she slept peacefully in her crib. With tears streaming down his face, he whispered to his daughter, "You belong to me. I love you so much. I can't bear to be without you." Despite Linda's attempts to get him to open up, Vince remained silent and refused to eat his dinner, retiring to bed early. He tossed and turned all night, unable to find a peaceful sleep. Linda was equally unable to rest, watching over him until he finally drifted off, only to be jolted awake by his own screams. Enough was enough, and Linda decided that Vince could no longer keep her in the dark about his behavior since coming home from work. She woke him up, demanding answers to his unusual behavior. "It's driving me insane," Linda exclaimed angrily, frustrated with the lack of answers from Vince. Suddenly, her husband spoke, causing her to freeze. He sat on the bed, running his hands through his hair, and screamed out in anguish. "Alfred came to my office yesterday," he revealed. "Karen isn't mine. She's Alfred's." Linda was stunned, and memories of her first love and longtime boyfriend flooded back. No, that's not true," she stammered. "You have to trust me." Vince pleaded with her to help him understand, and he asked to see her phone. She hesitantly handed it over, and Vince scrutinized her call logs, discovering that she had spoken with Alfred multiple times over the past week. "You've been talking to him behind my back," he accused her. "Is everything he said true?" Vince struggled to contain his emotions as he stared at the woman he loved. "Why were you talking to him, and why didn't you tell me?" "We never keep secrets from each other," he said calmly. As Linda was relaying the situation with Alfred, Vince's anxiety was building up, but he tried to remain composed. He didn't want to disrupt her work or cause her any more stress. However, when he couldn't take it anymore, he retrieved an envelope from his work bag and showed it to Linda. "I want to trust you," he said, "but this is making it difficult. Can you explain these photos?" With a sense of apprehension, Linda watched as Vince poured out the contents of the envelope onto the bed. As soon as Linda's eyes landed on the pictures, her legs gave out, and she collapsed onto the bed. The envelope Vince had brought from work contained several photographs of Linda and Alfred together in a hotel room, which had been taken a week before Linda's wedding to Vince. The dates on the images were proof enough that Linda had been unfaithful to Vince, and he was heartbroken. Vince tried to stay calm, but his emotions were getting the better of him. "What do you have to say for yourself?" he asked Linda, his voice laced with anger and pain. "Just tell me the truth, and I will forgive you. I love you so much, Linda, regardless of anything." Linda tried to speak but could only muster tears. Through her sobs, she confessed that Alfred had threatened to harm her if she didn't meet him, so she had agreed to see him at the hotel bar. Once there, Alfred complained of feeling unwell and asked Linda to come to his room to help him rest. Linda's intentions were pure, but she had made a mistake, and it was now costing her everything. Vince was still reeling from the shock of the revelation, but he tried to remain level-headed. "I don't know what to do, Linda. "I need time to think," he said, struggling to keep his emotions in check. Linda was inconsolable, and Vince knew that things could never be the same between them. The truth is, Linda felt a sense of guilt for leaving Alfred. She had believed he was her soulmate until meeting Vince. "I went to apologize to Alfred for causing him pain. I felt remorse for leaving him and was burdened by guilt. I assure you, nothing improper occurred between us. I swear upon my life. I regret not sharing this with you earlier. I should have been honest. Karen is your daughter. Alfred and I did not have any affair." Linda wept while Vince was caught in a dilemma. Alfred had challenged him to a DNA test, yet Linda claimed Karen was his child. Despite everything, Vince couldn't bear to see Linda cry, so he comforted her with a hug and promised her that everything would be all right. Unfortunately, the situation was not all right as the couple became distant from each other. Although hesitant, Vince knew taking the DNA test was the only way to resolve the matter that was about to break his marriage. He decided to proceed with it. As they awaited the DNA test results, Vince remained committed to being a devoted and affectionate husband. He reassured Linda of his unwavering love, regardless of the outcome. Meanwhile, Linda was plagued with self-blame for withholding important information from her spouse. 1 week later, the couple sat watching TV when Vince's phone beeped, signaling the arrival of an email. Upon reading it, he was overcome with emotion and tears streamed down his face, causing his phone to slip from his grasp. Linda didn't need to inquire about the contents of the email as she already knew. Without hesitation, she rushed to Vince, enveloped him in her arms, and they shared a passionate kiss, reminiscing the early days of their relationship. The intensity of their kiss was palpable. While Vince regretted doubting Linda, he acknowledged that given the circumstances, it was natural to question her. Linda believed that if she had been honest about her encounter with Alfred and their communication, none of this would have transpired. The day after the DNA test confirmed that Karen was Vince's biological child, Linda ventured out to the supermarket to purchase some groceries. During her 1-hour absence, Vince surprised everyone by doing something unexpected with his daughter. In anticipation of monitoring Karen's movements, since she was a highly active toddler, Linda had installed cameras all over the house. However, she only decided to check the footage while in bed that night since she wasn't sleepy yet. Her intention was to have a good laugh before retiring to bed, but what she saw left her in tears. Upon playing the video, she heard Karen crying uncontrollably, and soon after, Vince left the couch in the living room and entered Karen's bedroom. She could hear him soothing her, but the child's cries continued. A few minutes later, the camera showed Vince emerging from the bedroom with Karen cradled in his arms. Vince put Karen down gently on the floor and walked over to the music player. Once he found the right song, he pressed play and started to dance. After trying several things to calm his crying daughter, he realized he needed to do something creative and fun to lift her spirits. At first, Karen just stared at her father's silly moves, but soon her tears turned into laughter. However, it was Karen's next move that brought tears to Linda's eyes. Karen started to imitate her dad's dance moves, and before they knew it, they were both laughing, hugging, and dancing together. The scene was so touching and heartwarming that Linda couldn't help but shed a few tears. Linda could see the immense love that Vince had for Karen, and the thought of her not being his biological daughter would have shattered him. However, despite the possibility of Karen not being his biological child, she knew that Vince would have loved her just as much. After watching the video, Linda moved closer to Vince and kissed him. "Thank you for being patient and kind with Karen. I love you so much," she said. "You're a good man." Vince stirred in his sleep and whispered, "I love you more," before snoring again. Later that week, the couple obtained a restraining order from the court, which demanded that Alfred stay away from them. This just proves that love can overcome any obstacle. Make sure to subscribe and watch this next video. See you there.